Okay. I mean, yes, we'll talk about that. But before we do, let's discuss the things that we do when we reach level 50 in this game. Now, a lot of you will say, "Oh, we can RP, we can PK, we can gold." There's many things that we can do. Idling is probably my favorite one. But the one thing that everybody will probably agree on is that running is a core aspect of this game. You need to run in order to get equipment, right? You need equipment for your characters, right? There's no way around it. But the thing about running is that you need a lot of characters in order to run, because if you have a warrior and you're tanking a mob that has too much HP, tanks don't deal that much DPS. So now you need a thief, but that mob is immune to thieves. So now you need a vamp or a barbarian, etc. The point is that you need a lot of them, right? So you'll spend most of your time leveling, which means that leveling in one shape or another needs to complement the running aspect of it. Or at the very least, leveling should be like a tutorial, should be considered like a tutorial for understanding and using your class properly, right? Or at least to a certain percentage, right? I'm not saying like 100% teach you how to use that class, but give you the tools that you need in order to learn that class properly. And one way to do that is by tackling the experience aspect of it. I'm not talking about damage. I'm not saying give all the classes a particular damage dealing spell or ability or skill in order to get them more experience, but rather incentivize them to use the skills that they already have by giving them more experience as a reward. Because as it stands right now, every class, and I'm gonna say every class even though I'm not 100% sure on that, but every class just spams a skill. Some classes don't even spam anything at all. Take vampires, for example. And I've complained about this before, and although this isn't really a complaint, it's more like a quality of life comment. Vampires, you shove them with the R and you just kind of tag a mob and walk away, right? Because that's how I level 2 vamps already. I'm not an expert on them, as I mentioned that note as well, but I did just tag a mob and watch a YouTube video, and my guy would do its own thing. Because oddly enough, and I'm pretty sure somebody that's math savvy can maybe correct me, auto attacks give you more experience than your manual attacks. Meaning, if I strike, elbow, shoulder, whatever, I will get less experience than if I just let that guy do its own thing. And that's kind of counterintuitive at the same time, because you want the player to be interacting with the game. You want them to be on the lookout for something on the screen. Take Bammy, for example. Very well-known run, but to give you like the TLDR in terms of Bammy, you need 2 tanks rescuing each other because Bammy deals a lot of damage, right? So when he deals a lot of damage, one tank rescues the other one, right? They quaff a lot of heals. Then Bammy deals breath to the other one and they has to rescue each other, right? And so on and so forth, right? It's a very, very good tip of the iceberg type of run as an introduction to all tanks, right? If they want to practice, right? It's very great. I love that run to introduce tanks to something, right? But we don't get that type of dynamics when we're leveling, right? Like we just spam an ability, right? It would be great if the game would give me more experience if I used weaken. Let's say I'm on a mage. If I used weaken first, then chill touch, and then start dealing damage, because the mob is meant to deal less damage to me, and you can do it. And yeah, a player who is already experienced will probably do that. But a player that is not experienced doesn't know that he can do that, because the game rewards you for just spamming an ability. Take Galvanic Whip, Sonic, Caustic Fountain. You just spam those, and it gives you a truckload of experience. So why would I waste my mana on Weaken, on Eldritch, or whatever that what have you? I can't remember all the, on Razorbait, etc. Why would I waste my mana on those type of debuffs if I get nothing from it, right? Aside from like maybe the experience from practicing it, but that's it, right? But if the game rewarded me a little bit for trying to learn the character, for trying to be good at it, right? By applying all these debuffs, by using multiple types of attacks on the mob, then I would use it. Like, take for instance something that we do already. When a new player tries to starts talking on newbie channel or on chat or whatever, and you tell them, what's the first thing you tell them when they try to like adventure through the world? Don't forget Sanctuary, because a player that has Sanctuary on gets to live to tell the tale, and the one that doesn't gets to visit Sonoria, right? So it would be the same dynamic if you tell them, well, don't forget to use like a combination of your spells so that you can get more experience. Oh, really? You can do that? And then they'll try to use them because they level faster that way. And I would say tackle the experience, not the damage, because you don't want to unbalance all of those other mobs that you have at level 50, all those other runs where the mob is already balanced enough that you're supposed to die or not die or just barely make it, to making it really weak because now you're using a combination of spells in order to deal more damage. So we're not tackling that. We're tackling the experience. That's what's important, right? If you give them more experience, it motivates them to read through the text in order to learn how to use that class. Or at least, in my opinion, that's how it should be. But, I mean, it's up to you, obviously. This is just, again, food for thought. So, enough rant.